What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're live yet again, bringing you the latest and greatest in cryptocurrency news. What a strange day in the markets today, man. The market right now is absolutely exhausting. You know that you've been looking at the charts too much where you're like, oh, man, this is like just the worst. Anyway, sometimes they are the true test. TikTok, let me know you can hear me all right, because I keep messing around with this. I don't know if it's actually doing all right, but the true test of anyone that can survive these markets are whether you can actually just hold it together long enough to, recognize the potential. Now, we're going to break down and talk a little bit about what is going on. I guess, what is happening in the market. I haven't really got anything like super planned tonight. Two reasons, really. One, I was up super early this morning because I had a meeting that I had to get to. So I was up at what time was I? Like 5:45. So I had about, maybe I got 3 hours sleep last night, which would be good news. So I was like super tired, and I am a bit now. I mean, anyone who's on TikTok can see that. Look at these. Like, look, I'm a 42-year-old man. Like, I shouldn't have these. Anyway, so I was super tired this morning. And yeah, the markets have just been, wild. Let's just call it as it is. Like, the markets have been an absolute, just the craziest place. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. We'll talk a little bit about kind of what comes next, a couple of key things, a couple of charts, all the rest of it. And I also have the official reason why the markets haven't pumped today. I know exactly why, and I'm going to share it with you guys in just a minute. So, as always, if you just walk in the screen, do me a favor, smash up the like button to about your all-time high. That would be great. Also, maybe it's your first time here. Maybe you're just looking for a community or somebody who isn't necessarily just all about the nonsense. Welcome. This is the channel for you. I might not always be the most accurate. I might not always be the most, correct in these markets. But I'll tell you what, you just get it as it is, right? Born and bred in God's own county, Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. That's where I'm from. So we try and keep it as, 100 as possibly can. Anyway, I need some slice of cucumbers on those eyes. I really do. Let's get into the main reason. And I kind of want to make sure you guys see it at the same time. So welcome in TikTok, everybody. Don't forget to tap that screen. Locking those. Do this, basically. This is kind of good news. Send some heart memes if you want. Not expected, but if you want, again, you can tap the upvote thing, which I think is great. Share us out. There's a little button down here that you can press and share. Don't forget, I have a double stream tonight, so I'm back live again, 10:30 UK time with none other than CryptoVern, just kind of chilling and talking about anything and everything. So if you're interested in all that, make sure you chill in as well. But here it is, the official reason the cryptocurrency market did not go up today, and it should have done, by the way. It definitely should have done. Here's the official reason. Okay, you ready? Jim freaking Cramer. No, Jim. No. Jim Cramer says, crypto due for a push today. We're in the 2000 territory on specs. Jim. Shut the hell up, Jim. All right. If it isn't Donald Trump absolutely just destroying the markets with tariff news, Russia sanctions, Jim Cramer decides to come in. He's like, yeah, look, it's all going to be great. The market's going to go to the freaking moon, baby. Come on, Jim. That's just not how life works. It's not how life works, Jim, for God's sake. Anyway, such is life. Jim's absolutely ruined us. What's all that? What is the all-time high on likes to be? Oh, I don't know, like 130 or something, maybe 150. TikTok is about 30,000. So, man, have you ever seen the other thing as well? TikTok. What is this? Look at this. Anyone know what this is? I mean, don't say hair because it's obvious that it's hair, but I think the official term is a cow's lick, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Jim's a massive chopper. He really is. Look at this. We must focus on this following people to get. Shut up, Jim. All right. Shut up, Jim. Okay, let's bring up the charts. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. TikTok, I'll see you in just a second. So, you right now may be thinking, God, I'm so bored of this market. I'm so bored. Like, what is happening to me? You told me everything was going to be fine. We even had people in here by the name of Al Ashbrook going, you're all too bearish. What the fuck, Al? Why are we not going to the freaking moon? Oftentimes of extreme fear, insane panic often then lead to the next biggest run, which I think is kind of interesting. And we can even, to a degree, look at this. Can we put this on? Or do I need to put it somewhere else? Oh, I think I need to put it somewhere else. That's the most annoying thing of all. We can overlay the fear and greed index. Not there. That is not what I wanted to overlay. Which one is it? Is it this one? Oh, man. Man, I hate this thing. Anyway, okay, I'm going to sort it out. But, here we are. What is interesting, by the way, of currently where we sit right now is that our trend line is super boring. Super boring. It is just what it is. But you could argue we're still actually holding a particular range. This goes back to early morning Tuesday, which was obviously from the Asia Open, where we saw this market push down. Then obviously we saw the big rally. Everyone kind of exited gold. FYI, jumping ahead just a little bit, by the way. Gold shit the bed only by 0.5% though today. So gold did push down the market, as weirdly did the Treasury market, which means that we should have got a pump on Bitcoin and we didn't. Pretty interesting. We'll sort of try and break down a little bit as to what it is. But if you were, I guess trying to maybe understand what's going on in the market, try and get your best idea. We're probably still ranging. I think what is important when we talk about this is we are very much still above this key support line that we've been talking about that has, shown and been a big element of support for this entire market move. And you can see here, look on the macro, especially if you go to the weekly. The weekly is even more obvious. That you can see just how this line is probably the most important line that we have. Lose the line, probably lose the market. I think that's probably where I am right now. So, yeah, I think the reality is that, look, we're still holding up against this range. What is hard is you just want some upside momentum, and right now it's not quite here. And if anything, it feels a little bit bearish on the charts. But we also know whenever sentiment is absolutely at its worst, generally speaking, that we can get movement to the upside, signaling reversals that come in. Right now, the markets are in extreme fear. So, there is an argument to say, well, if markets are in extreme fear, this should be the moment where the sensible are in extreme greed. Doesn't quite feel like that. What you can see here is that over a month ago, we were at 62, which just gives you a kind of idea. We got 13 and actually 28, now currently 25. So we are descending. Markets are becoming more fearful, which I think is worthwhile just noting as this kind of plays through, but doesn't mean that it is all bad news. I'm not going to go too much into altcoins. BNB had a pretty good run. The overall macro, 3.59 trillion, still holding on some key supports, but be mindful, this is very much a downtrend, but generally speaking, 45 degrees is what you expect on a general trend movement. This is way more aggressive than that, driven hugely out of this massive capitulation event, which I think most people now know what it is. BTC dominance is still rising very slightly and is currently sitting at 59.93. We'll talk a little bit about why this is going up at the minute, which could signal, again, another rotation, potentially of capital, could rotate or could give us an idea of maybe what's coming over the hills. But as we sit right now, it has been a super boring day in the markets, and that is that. So what else have we got going on? What else is worth noting? And I guess the big question is, why is the market about to change? This all is going to be starting on Friday, in my opinion, and I'll touch on that in just a second. So I want to talk about a couple of other things. Nasdaq fair value price on Bitcoin. Now, you have to be mindful of any modeler that's going to tell you that Bitcoin's due to go to the moon, because sometimes they are misleading. Sometimes they may have been not accurate. And sometimes people can just take them way out of concept for what it is, right? Simple as that. But over the past 5 years, Bitcoin's price has tracked the Nasdaq 100 more closely, and it has become mainstream and institutionalized. We discussed this, if you remember, when we overlaid the price of Bitcoin against the Qs, specifically when you look at the weekly charts. Now, obviously, in the time frame where we are right now, it doesn't generally follow that. Again, we could overlay the BTC USD price, but again, you can kind of just see similar kind of patterns. So the Qs rallied a very small amount today. We saw the Bitcoin price kind of not really do much on the back of it, as it sort of declined as the Qs did that as well. So, difficult to kind of really be like, okay, it is super correlated, it's super obvious, and it's super kind of a push. But the fair value indicator is pretty interesting. What it does, in essence, tell us is one of two things, really. Is that Bitcoin has decoupled from a traditional market stance, which as things grow and institutions buy them in and, assets generally grow in stature, they should become more aligned to other elements. Okay, so what you'd expect is Bitcoin to continue to become more aligned against the Nasdaq or against the Qs or whatever it is. So this could indicate that there is an element of manipulation that could be within that, which is kind of where it is. Or like we said, the asset has just kind of grown up and everyone's a bit like, well, it's fine. Bitcoin's its own entity, which look, it is obviously by its own right and its own entity, but in terms of actually a financial market, what does that look like? We also got some pretty interesting things in terms of gold central bank reserves, which we talked about. Gold, however, continuing to come down. Bits Blaze in the building. Thanks for the heart, me, my man. Appreciate it. It does help out. 95% of reserve managers expect gold central bank holdings to rise. So although we are seeing, yet again, some capitulation in gold, the expectation is that a continuation is that they will just simply go up in value and have done since 2021. We saw 2020 being the last big mover before a 2021 capitulation down. This is exactly what it aligns, and we've talked about this before. The US debt, which is now plus 10 trillion in under 5 years and is actually growing pretty big. So there is an element that something's going to have to do about it. Something's going to kind of have to do something about it. But debt right now is absolutely skyrocketing. And we talked about the US government recorded a 1.78 trillion budget deficit for the fiscal year of 2025. This is obviously going to be important as how this all plays through. You can see a lot more in terms of the budget deficit here and what this all looks like. So again, worth noting, this ultimately though is where Bitcoin and policy can support this. And I think this, and we'll talk about something that's obviously coming pretty soon in just a minute, but this is sort of going to align to a couple of other key bits. Now, I'm going to jump slightly ahead and just bring up this, which obviously the Federal Reserve FOMC meeting is coming in 6 days, 21 minutes. Expectation right now is a rate cut of 25 basis points. Understand this rate cut will be different. The fact is that we have no real data. Jobs data has been delayed. All the data points that you would look for to make a decision haven't been here. What does this mean? This means the Federal Reserve is going to have to essentially go into this federal meeting a little bit blind. They're going to have to then play the dice that rolls, which basically means they're going to have to cut rates. Now, expectations could be that we get a 50 basis points cut, and there are even talks that it could even come in October, which would be pretty fucking crazy if he came in with a 25 basis points cut. Macro sentiment therefore feels that with continuation of rate cuts, this could support not only the increase in stock price, it also could support a decrease in the debt, which I think is important to think about. So this is going to be a really, really interesting FOMC meeting. And in my opinion, and it is only my opinion, by the way, you can take this at face value or you can take this as absolute truth and gospel. Jerome Powell's going to have to be dovish. Even if he doesn't want to, he is going to have to be dovish. They simply cannot afford for inflation to now start to run riot, the economy to slow down, and given everything that's going on, he cannot afford to be hawkish. So what you're going to get is a rate cut and a dovish Federal Reserve, which is pretty interesting and may play out in terms of kind of what this looks like. So definitely worthwhile thinking about. Now, on top of all of this, and we've been discussing this for a while, and we've been certainly keeping up in terms of some of the macro data that's coming in. The Federal Treasury, or the US Treasury, excuse me, once again bought back its own debt. Pretty interesting. They bought back now another $1.9 billion, taking the total now about $8.6 billion of debt that they continue to buy back. Number of issues accepted, 7. 34 were eligible to buy back again on this. This is pretty interesting. It's a massive signal that Treasury buybacks aren't just about debt management. They're about liquidity in the long end of the curve. They are positioning themselves, in my opinion, by the way, to print a fuck ton of money, right? That's exactly what they're going to do. They are going to basically buy themselves out of debt. Now, if you haven't seen the whole kind of Russia crypto US idea, then this is kind of where we get to. But this could mean the US is trying to smooth volatility in the bond market without the Fed stepping in directly. So by buying back their own debt, it basically means they're paying less on it, yada, yada, yada. Okay, and when you understand global debt and all the rest of it, it all gets a bit mental in fairness. But this once again tells us that the US Treasury are certainly trying to mitigate potential risk, potential loss, and obviously the reality is that at the minute we know that particularly other countries, specifically Asia, China, for example, are done with this market. Now, there was some pretty interesting stuff going on in, I don't know if it's going to bring up this. Boom, 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 boom. Bear with me. It's important. I just wanted you guys to see something. Is this going to come up? What am I looking for? Here. Right. This is going to get a little bit mental. All right. It is going to get just a little bit mental, but it's important when we walk through this to understand why I'm showing it. Okay. Because this is kind of going to play out what I think is going to happen over the course of the next, couple of weeks. Okay, so this is a official China news outlet. Okay, so again, hopefully you guys are fluent in Chinese or Mandarin, then you'll be able to kind of see exactly what I can going on. But basically what they're saying here on this article is that they are outpacing a lot in terms of manufacturing. I don't know what it's saying, by the way, but I'm going to translate it now just because it's dead easy, okay? So what you've got here, by the way, is, like I said, an official Chinese outlet for news, okay? So this is kind of what goes out to many of the people in China. It's a homegrown Chinese newspaper, for example. So what you've got on here, and I just thought it was worth sort of touching on really and sort of walking through, they are pushing a couple of very, 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 very interesting narratives right now, which totally do not align to what Trump's trying to push and totally probably go and maybe kind of make it a little bit awkward that conversation has happened. For example, the factors drag down international policy and aviation, which is kind of pretty interesting. They also are talking specifically about the country economic aggregate, which basically what they're trying to say is, look, in China, everything's fine. Like, our economy's booming. The rare mineral earth deal is like, oh, we're totally cool. Like, we hold all the freaking chips. They even misreport in terms of gold price, by the way, but hey, don't worry about that. They're talking a lot about how they are really, really, set in terms of what they're doing and yada, yada, yada. Okay, why is this interesting? This whole China deal thing, which basically is the part of the reason why the markets took an enormous shit the other day, basically. And probably is the reason why we're seeing this massive kind of run on gold, is that they are very much battling against this China deal. And what is the China deal really going to be? And as much people don't want to hear this, by the way, if there even is going to be a freaking China deal, because we don't really know what it is, but kind of interesting that this is all going to play out. And it's definitely something that's worthwhile, talking about, and certainly worthwhile thinking about as this kind of walks through. Is the China deal with the US really going to be that simple? Let me just bring Bitcoin price up just so I can see it while we're talking about this. Or is actually a little bit more that's kind of there. I've not really done the charts yet, Matt, to be honest. I'm going to double back and have a look at them in just a minute. We took look a little bit Bitcoin, by the way. Don't forget, by the way, tap that screen if you're bullish. Likewise, on TikTok if you can. And if you haven't already, give me a little thumbs up here on YouTube. We've got over 100 people in here right now. Give me a little thumbs up. I'd massively appreciate it. So, again, given this kind of headwinds that's coming in the market, what else have we got coming? Well, Titan of Crypto giving us a pretty interesting view that we have just talked about. And specifically then, what does that look like? Well, the reality is that this key level that we've been saying, this 108, this 200 EMA is very much where we are right now. And very much kind of aligned to a lot of the sentiment and I guess the view. So we want to see this kind of line hold. The macro still sits right in terms of both the daily and the weekly candles. Although for some reason, every time, is it because I need to be on logarithmic? Yeah, there we go. This is kind of our key support level and I guess the bit we want to see. Okay, so we don't want to see this break down. This line's still very, very important as how we sort of play through. Like I said, Bitcoin holding around 107,000. I'd like to see it push a little bit higher. But Titan of Crypto giving us a pretty interesting view as to kind of what that looks like. But the market indecision right now suggesting that liquidity is clustered around the key level. So this whole 108 range is sort of playing out very, very interesting. It's becoming a really, really key thing that walks through. So what is going to drive the narrative? How do we kind of look at change? And the title of this live stream is a little bit like everything's about to change in the crypto market, because the honest answer is it is. And I'm going to be a proper cop out here, by the way, because it is either going to dump to oblivion and the bear market is here, as many people will have you believe, or it's going to not be that way. And actually sentiment's going to come back. If you look at macroeconomics at the minute and you look at what are the key things you need for a overhyped bull market, yeah, then all of them are kind of sat where we would want to be in that place, right? So if you kind of got that, then that's absolutely where we kind of get to, right? And I think that is important to reference. And so many times we sort of get bogged down in the daily days and the, daily days in the day-to-day runnings of whatever it is. You're checking the charts 500 times a day and you're like, oh my God, Bitcoin's down like $200. What the fuck's going on? But you got to think about what do you need and then overlay that into exactly where we are now. And let's walk through a couple of these key points because I think it's worthwhile. And let's answer the question, are we in an expansive crypto market or are we not? And let's walk through a couple of those. Alvin, what's going on? Say, hey, members, can you say hello to Amy? What's going on, Amy? Welcome in. I'm assuming you don't mean my Amy, right? You mean your Amy. My Amy's AMY, in fairness, not AMA. But yeah, welcome in, Alvin. And welcome in, Amy. And thank you so much for the $7. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much indeed. And hope you're all doing well. Welcome, Choppers. Kiss hello to Amy listening from Canada. She's a massive shopper. But she's okay. It's like calling someone the chopper with a lisp in it. She's a shopper. Okay, right. Let's walk through a couple of these key pits. And I want you to let me know in the chat, do you think we're in a market expansion or do you think we're in a market contraction? Are the ingredients for a Bitcoin bull market with us or not? So we're going to start with the chart that you can see on the screen, by the way, which is the spot and futures volume. Now, this is basically people taking options, i.e., we're betting the market's going up, we're betting the market's going down, okay? I think pretty much most people know what that is. By the way, we do put out a full analysis of the weeks of the weekly market in our alpha group within our premium discords. If you want to get access to that, become a channel member by simply hit the channel member link and join on here. You can also subscribe here on TikTok as well and get involved in that one. Also, FYI, we put new coin launches in there, of which I'm now in. There's now 3 coming, and there may be the first VC opportunity coming up as well, which is pretty exciting. So look out for that. We're gonna as soon as I can put that in there, we're gonna put it in there. So what can we see on the screen here? And again, I don't know, TikTok, if you want to see this, it's a little bit difficult when you see it on your phone. But every major recovery begins the same way, with spot accumulation quietly building. Everyone got totally and utterly fucked on the markets on that Friday when everything dumped to oblivion. You see the wipeout here completely from that BTC price. And then the cumulative volume certainly stepped down, or we saw people obviously selling out. What we're seeing now is people are slowly getting back into the market. People are taking leverage on. People are looking for the next big opportunity. And the next big opportunity, people believe at the minute in a long-term narrative, is an uptrend. Now, why? Well, let's walk through some of these key ingredients that you need. Massive liquidity and loose monetary policy. So you need the fact that quantitative easing, i.e. interest rates come down, needs to be happening, right? So again, how do you get overhyped markets? You don't have them in quantitative tightening. It's simple as that. We don't get in that place. You have to have quantitative easing. We are reducing interest rates. We're allowing companies to expand. Money becomes cheap to get hold of, right? New liquidity injections could be something else. So similar to the pandemic, or at the simple element of injecting capital. So for example, we know Trump stimulus was going to be like $2,000 to every single person in the US. That could be another one as well. We saw, zero rates of the pandemic. We obviously saw, again, stimulus coming in, particularly for businesses, right? The 2 things that we need to watch on those elements are the Federal Reserve balance sheet, which we get tomorrow. I believe that's going to give us an update on where they are, specifically the value that sits on it. And M2 money supply growth, or more specifically, US money supply growth. I think that's going to be some of the key. So think about those 2 things. There may be a slight shift in technological breakthroughs. Now, you'll have seen today, there was loads of stuff about quantum computing and ChatGPT and AI, because there was an announcement that OpenAI was going to launch a web browser. Google took a massive dump. Also, you've seen this quantitative computing stuff where they're like, oh yeah, well, they're going to be doing all this kind of crazy stuff and everything's going to be exciting. Maybe this was another sentiment that, well, the markets just didn't like it too much. You got things, by the way, just to give you some examples of what this looked like. 2017, 2020 was all about smart contracts, DeFi, NFTs. They were the hype thing. 2017 was all about liquidity farming. It was all about yield. So right now, what's the narrative? The narrative right now is institutions, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Institutional or sovereign legitimization, which we've kind of seen, and I don't think that's an unusual statement to make, by the way. We've definitely seen the fact that institutions are making cryptocurrency more accessible than ever. Now, what is interesting, and again, you can have 2 views on this. Yesterday, even though the markets was pretty bullish, we got an inflow of around $477 million. This, by the way, on the backdrop of 4 significant outflows hitting just shy of $1 billion. What does today look like? We talked about this yesterday, by the way. Demand has returned. Nearly 2,000 Bitcoin looking to go back into the iShares. Remember, this is demand that people want. Nearly 3,000 going to ARK 21. Pretty bullish. Is this on the back of yesterday's discussion with Fed Christopher Waller, almost saying Bitcoin, and I mean, if you saw my XRP video, there's an argument that maybe XRP could be doing something. But anyway, that's by the by. This obviously plays out pretty much favorably when you talk about institutions, spot ETFs. If we get the government back open, this could drive some more liquidity into the market, etc., etc. Okay, so look out for some more of those. The one thing that I think is key that we're missing, rapid retail influx and media mania. Now, we saw this with gold, and you can't deny it. It was as plain as freaking day. Everyone was like, oh, gold's can go to the pissing moon. Like, here we go. Since then, gold's taken an absolute dump. The absolute overhyped mega top was in, and boom, it has dumped now for the last 2 days. Does it mean it's going to go down further? Probably. Does it mean it can't go back up? Absolutely not. So the fact is that this is another key indicator where you get overhypeness. That is absolutely a thing, but we do need the retail markets to come into the markets. You'll see that by movement on things like meme coins, social contagion, acceleration, FOMO metrics, etc. So these are things like apps that are being used, Coinbase apps, not whether people are bearish or bullish on crypto Twitter, right? Because sometimes that is also a lot of nonsense. What else do you need? Deteriorating quality of investment narrative. So basically people prepared to take on risk. So I'm sick of gold. I'm sick of US treasuries. I want something a little bit spicier. That's where you kind of pick up a little bit more in terms of the Bitcoin market. You've also got regulatory euphoria, which we sort of got a little bit yesterday. Nothing really too crazy, but look, these are sort of the key things. So then ultimately, when you kind of get into indicators, what do we need to look like? And this is where I want you to give your answers. I want you to let me know in the chat what you think. Some of the signals that could indicate that we're about to go into a crazy market, that hype is going to come back, expectation is going to start rallying, and once again, we could see the most euphoric move in the Bitcoin market than ever. What does that look like? Well, federal cutting rates, the Fed cutting rates, BTC dominance on the rise, alts and BTC pairs outperforming, meme coins and AI tokens are booming. This is generally seen as a late indicator, by the way. Stablecoin inflows, derivative fundings, exchange reserves dropping, which they have been now for a while, and Google trends, which, I mean, people overhype that as an example, but that kind of gives you an idea. So if you think about all of those, where do you kind of get to the point now where you believe the market is? Well, the market, in my opinion, isn't hitting a lot of those metrics, and actually, therefore, we're probably still feel like there is more to go. That's the narrative we've got to hold on to, and I think that's ultimately, or fingers crossed, that's where we're going to get to. You've also got a lot in terms of diversion in Bitcoin altcoins. At this point, it seems like speculation in altcoins is either gone or have been wiped out. No one seems to be holding on to altcoins. Everyone's like, screw altcoins, they're an absolute waste of time. I'm going to go fully into BTC and nothing else. The orange bit in the middle, by the way, is sort of the others category. So you've got BTC is a blue. You got ETH, which is green, not very much in terms of open interest, by the way. And then obviously you have the orange, which is everything else. I guess this often happens before a reversal. Again, this is the thing, isn't it? If the markets are doing one thing, then maybe the opposite is about to happen. So in summary then, where do we get to? Is the best of the market yet to come? I think key data scenarios have to play out. Well, what does that look like? CPI is the big one. This is going to indicate exactly where we're probably going to end up at the, we're probably going to end up in a different place. Thursday, we do get some key data analysis. We're going to get the Fed balance sheet. I talked about that just a minute ago, giving us an indication as to exactly what the Fed is doing. Vern's in the building, everybody. Are we quantitatively easing? Is this going to be the big thing? Have they managed to dump enough from that federal balance sheet that they want to then start to push back into the market? We've been discussing the federal balance sheet for ages, and ultimately what that could look like. So we do need to keep an eye on that. You're also going to get jobless claims, albeit these are going to be manufactured numbers. Thanks, Vern. Yeah, they're the things that people hopefully can do. But yeah, appreciate it, my man. That helps out massively. The federal balance sheet and the jobless claims numbers are going to be pretty interesting. We'll have to see how they kind of ply through, but they are going to be numbers that are going to be aggregated and not factual, or not as accurate as they probably should be, by the way, which maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. There is this argument that actually the government's going to stay shut down for a number of months yet and open up prior to Christmas. And maybe this is just a way of kind of yeeting a lot of old Democrat, programs, cutting the chaff. Thanks for the hat, baby. And then that sort of plays us out into maybe a more favorable bull run. Remember, if you look at the federal balance sheet, by the way, here is the actual federal balance sheet over the course of its entire life. Generally speaking, what do you see? The Fed balance sheet dumps into a Bitcoin parabola move. All right. And then it dumps post again. So again, what you see here is the dump from into 2019 all the way into 2020. And then kaboom, we ended up going up to 2021, this massive spike in the super excitement after the dump arena into the, well, look, the same is kind of happening right now, particularly on the Fed balance sheet. So we do need to look and see how that one plays out. Okay. Now, I did just kind of I thought I just got an announcement of some potential breaking news, but I don't think it's going to be anything that big. Is this a thing? The Wall Street Journal story on the USA approval of Ukraine being allowed to use long-range missiles deep into Russia is fake news. The US has nothing to do with those missiles, whatever that may come from, what Ukraine does with them. Okay, that's not the end of the world, is it? That's not the end of the world. Elon Musk's Tesla reported no Bitcoin sales in Q3 2025 with financial reflecting adjustment net gains and losses in the Bitcoin holdings. Okay, fine, cool. Okay, so that kind of takes us to where we sit, which is, I guess, where do we go from here? What does the market look like? And it has to be data-driven over the course of the next few days. This is the big one, everybody. Friday, 1:30. Watch out, because what you could get is bullish CPI, which I think would be good. Bullish CPI could be a good news story. We then could get a bullish or dovish Fed, which I think he has to go dovish. I think he has to go dovish. Because if he doesn't, then it's not good news, basically. And you're then going bearish on an economy that is weakening with very little data that you can support it with. You have to play the odds, and the odds, Friday, Matt, you have to play the odds. The odds absolutely are that you are going to have to go dovish on it. Yeah, just by the way, a US debt reaches $38 trillion. It's crazy, by the way. Is gold going bearish? Gold's having a sell-off. I don't necessarily think it's bearish. Interesting enough, by the way, it's lost $2.3 trillion in the last 2 days. That's how big the King Gold market is. Is it going bearish? Difficult to say. I don't think so, by the way. I don't think so. I actually feel like sentiment a little bit at the minute. I mean, it's not bearish, is it? But it's probably just a little bit uneasy. I think that's probably a better way to describe it. And I think a lot of it is waiting to be data-driven. A lot of it is kind of going to be going to be a key thing to think about. Just some sort of bits of news that I think just dovetail a little bit on the back of that. USDT now serving over 500 million users. It's a pretty big number, by the way. And why is this important? This will be the absolute indicator of the bear market, in my opinion. When you start to see that USDT, USDC, stablecoin markets are kabooming, you are going to be mindful of that. Equally, I think it ushers in the next world of DeFi, and probably is the big thing for the stablecoin, for the bear market of whatever that looks like, 2026, 2027. So again, important to see what this looks like. Also, you've got a couple of other bits of news here. Just to give you a view, you've got the crypto price poised for a drop based on US Treasury. Maybe this is a thing. The potential G7 response may affect markets further, but Bitcoin remains around 108. Again, we will see. A lot of this is to do with the US Treasury announcing some more sanctions on Russia. We'll see what that looks like, and hopefully they're not like super, super crazy ones. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be important to see. What we don't want is to kind of get this whole US, Russia, China, like crazy sort of three-way battle. That's just not what anyone needs. Apparently they're toes, by the way, and it's some sort of support to get nail fungers out. Let's move on quickly. Kraken's Q3 revenue surged 114%. Interesting. Why is this important? Revenue surged to $648 million. That's up 114%. That tells us that, well, expansion into US derivatives trading. Again, go back to what do we need to see a hyper overinflated bull market? Well, this is kind of key things that we think about. They are coming in. And then obviously the big news of the day, Kadena shuts down operation. Can't believe it. KDA, we were talking about this moons ago. I mean, hopefully someone's checked on Bernie, but yeah, Kadena officially is no longer. Hype gone. Went from a $30 price point, finished I think at 9 cents. Pretty crazy to think about it, but there is sort of rumors that people are going to try and take it over, blah, 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 blah. Just move on, all right? Just move on. It is what it is. So that kind of gives you that. Good. Okay, that kind of gives you a bit of a view as to where I'm at with the markets. We'll talk a little bit more about the Fed meeting, what that could look like, how that's all going to play out, etc., etc., etc. Government shutdown ends this week. Well, I don't think so. I'm just going to be dead honest, right? I don't think it does. As much as I would like it to, I don't particularly see it's going to close down. And if anything, this is where there's like some weird 4D chess shit going on right now, because you got the Democrats that are kind of saying, and by the way, I'm not making this political, I'm just kind of giving my view. The Democrats are like, we want this particular healthcare element putting back in. Trump's a bit like, well, you're not. But while we're going to be shut down, I'm going to close this, going to close that, going to fire that person. Do you see the recent like Florida judge, I want to say, Supreme Court judge maybe? They just like appointed them. Like there's all sorts of crazy shit going on. Like it is definitely some weird ass 4D, nonsense right now. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Gold on that for 20 years. I'm not sure stopping it in this climate. That's true. Miss EV, what's going on? Thank you so much for the heart, man. Appreciate it. Liam says, based off of 9% of traders lose in this market, I'll do the opposite and go long. I mean, people have been winning right now in terms of some of the trades, but yeah, difficult one. A difficult one. Food stamps go away next week, so I see government's deal soon. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Oh, I think I saw some news clips about that. Interesting. Al says you're also bearish. Price action is cool right now. If we were in a bear market, as many of you think, why are we holding support and actually doing okay? 16K to 126 was a good run so far. I don't know if anyone thinks we're in a bear market, do we? I think people are uneasy or uncomfortable, but I mean, what would we deem as the bear market trigger? When do you officially say bear market is in, baby? You know, that's the question, isn't it? I think a lot of people would ask, in my opinion. We'll see. We'll see. Big Al says to the audience, not YouTube. Okay, man, appreciate that. What's going on now? Curtis says Jake's stream's cancelled tonight. Ooh, lol sorts involving Kadena not looking good. Oh, really? Is it like proper nasty? Wow. Gold carve tops because that means I sold the top and that won't happen at any timelines. Get it. Tim, thanks for the $1 sticker. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Alvin says BTC to 85K. No, Alvin's gone to be bearish. Curtis with a 1 month. What's going on? Welcome, Curtis. You legend. Look at that. Nice little silver coin. I wonder who's going to get the next. Who's going to get the first gold coin? Yesterday, 113 resistance held us back. Well, I definitely think yesterday was an interesting day. If you break it down as to kind of what's going on. Cramer, what's going on, buddy? Yesterday was kind of interesting. What it showed is that there was a demand and there was liquidity that sat ready to pile into this market when you want, right? When you want. Equally, what it did show is that right now, elements of this market aren't ready to pump, and people are still a little bit nervous. Now, what do you need to do? I know this is going to sound crazy, but you need to get rid of the sell pressure before you can move on with the buy pressure. And, maybe that just needs some time. Maybe we do need to just see a little bit more extreme fear. I was hoping I could kind of overlay the fear and greed index onto the Bitcoin price, but it doesn't feel like I can because it seems to be super annoying. So I don't want it here. I don't want it here. This is just annoying. I want it actually on the chart, but I don't think I can. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be an indicator. Does anyone know which one it is? I was just curious to see what it looked like against. I mean, that's kind of not. It's not great, is it? The fear and greed chart. Okay. Okay. Buy the blood. Do we have rain? You don't know if you're supposed to protect us. Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm trying, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's raining here, but yeah. So, I mean, look, there's a bigger debate. I really want to try and overlay the fear and greed index on top of that. I think we all should make a coin called. Oh, shut up, Alvin. I hate you so much sometimes. We're not making a fucking crumpet coin called Crumpet and Ranch. Like, what the hell, bro? Jesse's in the building. It's all good, Jesse. Appreciate you, my man. Pissing it down here, fair enough. JXC said Monday he wouldn't do a stream tonight, case. I think, let's just all talk about another YouTuber in the stream. Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. Massive choppers. Anyway. RPM, what's going on? Welcome in. Stardock says, mistakes down 20%. I didn't plan on buying any more crypto. I've actually been selling for a couple of months, but I've increased my snack bags. I love it. Love it. Get it. Let's. I want to actually see it on the chart. I think it'd be an interesting comparison, but I don't know how to do it. Aiden, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Welcome in. Okay, we can kind of do something. Okay, let me see if this works. Let me see if we can make this work. Fear and Greed Index by Dashond. Oh, you piece of shit. Why is it doing that? Come on, Dashond. Come on, Dashond. We don't want to do that. Man, this is super annoying. Oops. Is it this one? Oh, man. This is just painful right now. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Fear and Greed Market Cap. Yeah. I want to overlay it onto the price of Bitcoin, though. That's what I want to see, because I want to kind of see what the correlations are between where we were specifically fearful and what happened next, because I think that's important. Bear in mind right now, markets are still super bearish, or sentiment, sorry, not necessarily the markets, the sentiment in the market. So, yeah, I kind of want to be in a world where I'd like to see, man, Tim hitting 20th super chat on the stream. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it, my man. Love that. I kind of want to just see what it looks like in terms of where we sit from a market structure perspective, but I can't seem to get one to overlay on top of this, which is kind of annoying. But anyway. fucking Jim Cramer is super chopper, isn't he? Yeah, everything goes into like okay, doesn't matter. May TV coming in fresh. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'd love to know anyone in here who actually has a green portfolio, or you all buy way too high. Just curious, as that would be the only reason you're worried about things right now. I think I'll give you my worries. I think I was in a world where I had a number in my head that I thought I was going to get to, and I feel like that number is becoming more and more difficult to get to, which has been my number that I've been looking at from a when do I leave the market perspective. Doesn't mean that it changes. Doesn't mean that, like, okay, maybe that's, oh my God, this is the most fucking frustrating thing in the world. But I assume that's kind of where I get to. SPL says the crash is not over. Oh. No, I can't make this work. I can't make this work. All right. I heard this was October. What does that say? I heard this was October, then I heard October is a bad month. No, this is the first. Well, I mean, right now, and we can take a look at it, by the way. I'm just bringing the chat back up here. We can take a look at it, but generally speaking, October's actually been a pretty good month. This will be the first time, albeit I didn't actually look in terms of where we are. Maybe I should have done. Where are we sitting? So a negative 5%. Yeah, it's a pretty... This would be the second worst October in the history of the markets if we were to close at the current price of 107.890. Now, there's 9 days to go in October, so a lot could change in 9 days in this market. Let's hope it does. Oops. Yeah, so even on the weeklies, look, just as an example, we generally have seen that markets have been pretty optimistic when we've been pretty bearish. So we've been bearish now for the last 3 weeks, or we've been in a decline in the last 3 weeks. You know, pretty interesting where that plays through, albeit this week only down about 1%. So, you know, fingers crossed. Charts do opposite of the mass expectations. I mean, that's true as well. Things will change when the government shutdown ends. I mean, that probably is a big catalyst. The only thing to sort of think about with that, though, is don't forget, they will then get loads of data that comes through. You're going to get job data, you're going to get inflation data, you're going to get loads of stuff that's not come through right now. Maybe deliberately, who knows? But yeah, maybe that's going to kind of play out into the markets. Let's hope that it turns out that it's actually good news. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And I think that's worth thinking about. Worth thinking about. What is happening here? Law of averages would probably make this October red. I mean, it certainly looks like it probably is. It probably is going to end up somewhere near that, doesn't it? If we're dead honest, I mean, again though, we can move pretty aggressively, and we can certainly see that wiped out. It's 5%. That could easily be wiped out very, very quickly. Actually, whether it does is obviously a bigger debate, but. Yeah. Okay, we can kind of use this, by the way. I'm going to try and make this work. I'm going to try and make this work, but I don't know if I can. If I do that, and do that, and then if I do that, okay. Okay, kind of going to be able to do this. Okay, right. I've sort of got something we can work with, just as a little bit. So fear and greed index on the bottom here on the weekly charts, and then obviously on the upside is the price. So again, worthwhile just watching this TikTok. So what can we see? We generally see extreme fear. So this is going to take us down to some of the lower points in terms of the fear and greed index and kind of where this looks like. But worth noting here, there is a difference in terms of some of the price action and some of the movement in the charts. The previous two move down have aligned to a significant drop off in fear and greed. What is worth noting, by the way, specifically with this indicator, is that it seems to just get done and start to pump back to the upside. Maybe there's a slightly better one. So what can we decipher from this? Actually, fear and greed right now, albeit is like super, super down, then may actually end up being a little bit more optimistic than maybe we would have thought. And is the fear and greed it's not really any better, is it? Is fear and greed starting to tick back to the upside? Maybe it is. Is this therefore going to show us a reversal that's going to come in? That is also a possibility as well. Let's just do that. so we can actually see what is going on. There we go. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so maybe fear and greed is actually starting to tick back to the upside. Maybe this could be good news, and maybe this could absolutely signal then another potential move in the markets, which will be good news. Crypto Watch, what's going on, buddy? Hopefully we can kind of get that. I guess we'll see. That is going to be the crux, isn't it? And right now, again, we have to see lots of people, like we've said before, are super bearish on this market. Everyone seems to think the bull market's over. From what I know, and history tells me that whenever you think the market's going to do one thing, sometimes and more often than not, it does the absolute opposite. So worth noting, I believe, and probably worth thinking about where this market is going to go. Tubi, you're doing some live later or some space. Live on TikTok. Live on TikTok. So yeah, me and Vern will be live. If you're interested in coming on out, by all means, feel free to join us on TikTok, give your view, jump up. Obviously, just don't be super weird because TikTok is like the worst platform for getting people banned. It's like the most mental place in the world. But yeah. The market isn't easy, is it? Hold your balls and crack them. Remain with your convictions started and reassess simple basics. That's true. That's true. Yeah, BTC can do 6% in an hour. Well, I mean, think about what we got yesterday. I mean, BTC did a nice little move yesterday for sure. So, like I said, macro sentiment in the market definitely feels like the bull market has got the best to come yet, that we absolutely are in a place where we should get more upside. And yeah, maybe we get more upside to come. Short term, maybe people are just a bit like, oh, maybe it's even buyer exhaustion that people are a bit like, you know, like I'm just kind of donezo with this market. Maybe that's the answer. All I know that is we'll be absolutely on the markets as always, keeping you very much posted and very much dialed in. I think that's all we can do. Ride the wave, understand key things, and yeah, I mean, see where it is. You've got a real opposite factor right now. I mean, I probably will, in fairness. Yeah, I probably will. But yeah, you've got a really opposing factor, which is the market done and not? And people kind of believe it is. And others are like, no, absolutely not. One time says Trump and China deal come in. Well, even that. I mean, even that's a thing. If you don't believe the markets are slightly manipulated, you've got to kind of think, oh my God, like what the hell? Maybe even that. Maybe that's a big broker deal. Maybe that's the thing that pushes the markets way, way higher. You know, maybe that's kind of where it is. We'll have to kind of see. Recession incoming next year. Really? Nah, no way. No way. What is the recession indicator? Anyone can... We've talked about this before. I don't think it is. Yeah, so this is the indicator for recession, isn't it? The 10-year, 2-year yield curve. So the 10-2 yield curve. And actually, it's no longer inverted and it's actually up. So I don't believe that we are in a place where recession's coming. I certainly don't. Now, I mean, whether tariffs completely screw everything and the trade markets absolutely fall to pieces and, you know, Trump spends $1 billion renovating the White House, maybe that's the thing, and then the recession kind of comes around the corner and everyone's like, oh, shit, we knew it was coming. Maybe. I kind of feel like that's not the case, though. I feel like it's not the case. Calm before the storm, Mike. Aiden, yeah, look, you could absolutely be 100% right. High sell volume, low buying volume is not good at all. Yeah, I mean, what's the volume been trading at? I mean, you'd argue here on the daily candles, volume's been relatively elevated, not by sort of a crazy amount, but it has been kind of a little bit elevated. Maybe maybe that kind of influences a little bit on the markets, but yeah, we will see. Okay, cool. Right, we're well deep into the stream, by the way. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them. Also, if you got any questions in terms of the markets, do that. If you want to get involved with the greatest community in the world, do check out the Discord. It's in my bio. It's going to get you in. It's totally free Discord, by the way, if you want to join it. Again, great community over there. We've got kind of, new tokens that could come out. We've got a fully automated news section, which brings you all the latest news that's going on, aggregated across a number of different sites. If you want to get that, totally free. Jump in. It's a great community. We're heading up to 300 people in there. If you want a little bit more, that means you want market analysis. You want to be able to use our trade bot in there that's going to tell you what's going on. Then by all means, grab a channel membership. That's going to give you access to it. You can grab that by clicking the join button on YouTube or by subscribing here on TikTok as well. And that gets you access to that and everything else that's coming up. Like I said, we've got in fact, there is a coin in there, I think at the minute that's coming out. We also have, I'm going to post another one in there for you guys to go and have a look and research it. And we're trying to bring some good ass projects to the space. And also, like I said, there potentially is going to be a VC or the first VC option that could be coming up as well. So I think it's worth being in there, just my opinion. And it supports the channel if you want to support the channel. You don't have to, by the way. He top out the White House down and claims and Dems went crazy. I mean, that's true as well. That is true. Tim gifting another membership. What's going on, Tim? Who's going to get it? Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate that. Fairground, what's going on, buddy? Chipper grabbing that membership. Bullish. Has BTC lost 108? Currently, yeah. We're currently trading 107,765. So, yeah, that is currently where we sit. And, yeah, Chipper, I will have a look for you in the Discord and give you access. How would you sum up a deep bear market? This is my first year in crypto yet to experience it. A deep bear market. Go and research what happened to the FTX collapse, Terraluna collapse. Deep bear markets are where everyone thinks crypto is a scam and, yeah, nothing happens. Now, I mean, even the most bearish of bears currently on crypto Twitter are saying, well, we're probably going to go to, you know, 67K, 70K. Basically, everyone's going to tell you that the cryptocurrency market is a scam and it's all going to go to zero and that, well, yeah, basically get out of it while you can. It happens all the time. Everyone says it. The debate now is what's going to happen with institutional money. Just when you think institutions are done buying, are done with the markets and they're going to just now start to dump everything. Well, they somehow have this weird way of turning it all around and been like, yeah, maybe actually we're still a little bit bullish and we actually we actually kind of think that the market's going to be fine. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride. But that's why there's an argument to say that we're not in the bear market right now. Just my opinion. Deep bear market, the biggest YouTube channel's chat is this busy. I mean, that's also true as well. I feel good. I burned my red hat. Selmo! What's going on, buddy? Stardog, Kadena Clap. Yeah, we covered that. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy that it's gone. 3 years ago when FTX went down, wasn't fun. Yeah. I mean, we were live streaming that pretty much every day as well. So, yeah, the FTX collapse was freaking wild. The debate will always be, are we going to get to that? Maybe not. Maybe not. So we'll see. We'll see. Right. Okay. If you got any coins you want to look at, by the way, I mean, we take a look at the altcoin market, but just look at the state of it. I mean, Asta is now 97 cents. Look at this thing. Jesus Christ. This is a fall from grace, isn't it? A $2 Asta, this thing, it's going to the moon. Perp deck's the way forward. Nah, it's all absolutely donezo. Look at it. It's dumping to oblivion. Maybe it comes back. That's a big question right now. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? What does it mean when the stock RSI and the MACD are forming head and shoulders on Bitcoin? Oh, you mean stochastic RSI? Well, generally, head and shoulders patterns are seen as bullish, generally. So you generally get that reversal that would come in. That's kind of what you get. That's kind of where I get to with it. So, yeah. Mal, what's going on? Yo, 2-bit. What's going on, pal? Welcome in. Never heard of Asta. I would not have invested in that, mate. It was a Binance thing. It was an absolute beast, mate. Absolute beast. Yeah, it did some big numbers from launch, but yeah, Asta's are annual flowers, so will die down. I mean, that's true. That's true. But yeah, it did really well. I mean, it kind of came out with the whole BNB hype, which is kind of now quietened off a little bit. But I think just in general, like the market's quietened off. I mean, look how volatile BTC is right now. Do the 15 minutes. You just got some, they're big candles right now. They are big candles. And this is even crazy. Look at this on the 15-minute chart. Look how insane some of these moves are. This is definite market makers in here, by the way. So these are deliberate false trading volume being put through. Maybe it's by an exchange. I don't know. That is ultimately a proper manufactured pump and dump. Just FYI. Maybe it liquidated shorts and longs. I'm not really sure. Everyone wants to know about Luna Classic. Man, I'll tell you, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, by the way, but I actually did listen to or attempt to listen to a video by somebody in the space. I'm not going to say who it was because it probably feels unfair of me to call them out, and I'm not going to do that. But I kind of listened to a video they put out, and it was all about Luna Classic, right? And yeah, it was like, great news. There is a new IBC endpoint upgrade and literally, I just kind of went to the point of like, this is why I just moved away from Luna Classic and stopped talking about it. Because, man, you guys are like being crazy this evening. Tim with the free. Thank you so much. Alvin dropping another 279. You guys are bullish right now. It was like no one, it's going to sound a bit bad, this, but generally speaking, average investors don't give a flying fuck about what's going on as a development bit. They care about whether the price is going up or going down. The problem with Terraluna Classic right now is I think you've got an incredibly toxic development environment that are just not good. It's not good. I still think you've got way too many people with a way weird agenda. And I also think that the narrative being spun is still just a bit bollocks. And I always think when you kind of get into that place, it's just not good. It's not good, really, in my opinion. So I look, I'm just going to be honest. I don't necessarily think there is a lot of hope right now for the Terraluna ecosystem. Just my opinion. And if you are unsure as to what I mean, by the way, just go and have a look at some of the videos that are being put out about it. It's insane a little bit, if I'm dead honest. You know, if I was to list a couple of them, CZ will burn 6 trillion Luna Classic. No, he won't, right? Let's just call it as it is. Absolutely, that's not going to happen. How the hell is CZ going to do it? He's not even a friggin' CEO of Binance anymore. Terraluna Classic going to be the biggest comeback story in history. Secret USTC could change everything for Terraluna Classic. Terraluna Classic a little bit. Michael Saylor talks about Lunk and USTC. Did he? It doesn't feel like he did. Anyway. 2-Bit, can you identify the current candle on the daily BTC and what it could potentially mean if it closed as is? Al's big test on the daily candles on here. I mean, I would argue it's a similar candle pattern to what we got yesterday, which then by the end of the day changed quite significantly to show momentum was coming down as opposed to it being a reversal trend. So I'd argue right now that it's a similar pattern to what you said yesterday, which I can't honestly remember what it was. I can't remember what it was. Bearish follow-through bias, closing near the session low often leads to an attempted lower earlier next day. Yeah, well, I mean, the trend right now is down, isn't it? Which, you know, I guess was sort of talked about yesterday. Bearish, bullish for sure. Today's low 107.249, then 105, 106. Below that opens the 100, 102 pocket. Lunk is actually going to zero on its own chart against the dollar. I mean, that's true. That's true. I wish I had your insights with charts. I honestly, let me tell you, right? I'm in no way an expert whatsoever. Like genuinely, I'm in no way an expert. Just got to get in there and learn a little bit about it. I'm not saying, by the way, would I go and bet my entire portfolio on what I see on charts? Maybe not. I think you can look at it quite macro level. I don't necessarily get into the nuances and market structure, what you look like, but yeah, I'm going to shill the Discord a little bit, but get in the Discord. I mean, we occasionally put charts in the general sort of, the general kind of chat. And, if you've got any thoughts and opinions, get in there, ask away. That's the best way to learn in this market, is just surround yourself by people that know what they're talking about, or that have certainly been around a little bit more than we have. Lauren Babs in the building. What's going on, Lauren? Welcome in. But yeah, again, I was probably the biggest advocate for charting. I was like, it's all kind of a bit of nonsense, really. But I mean, the more you study it, the more you look at it, the more you can kind of certainly look at where reactions are. And bearing in mind, by the way, lots of charting, by the way, is human sentiment. Where do people believe that, something's overpriced or something's not overpriced? Oh, Matt Praise channel, when he said he lost his portfolio in a big crash, he only lost his trading bag, not his long-term bag. Great hype thumbnail. Yeah, see, I put a thumbnail out like that, though, and YouTube goes, oh, hate speech. Hate speech. No, take the video down. You're like, all right, fine, cool. Why do you take the video down? Well, because you are pushing a false narrative. That's not true. It's not true. And you're like, oh, okay. Thanks. Oh, man. Get out of here. Get out of here. To be your TA are really top notch. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. I try my best. I do try my best. Like I said, if you are in the premium Discord, you will get kind of where my view of market analysis kind of breaks down as well. But I think, look, learning where we are and walking through it, then, yeah. But I don't know if you guys have been serious or if you're actually talking shit, which could be a thing, by the way. Could be a thing. Al says 2-Bit got 8 days left. I'm going to count down. In 7 days, Al, I'm banning you from the channel. So, and then I'll be like, oh, look who's not turning up tonight. Big Al, he's not here, not to bring it, and I'm just going to ban you from the chat. No, I'm going to mute you on the channel so you can't speak, but you'll be there. And I'll be like, oh, here he is. Where's Big Al? I thought we were going to bring it. I thought he was going to bring it. Can you imagine? I thought he was going to bring it, his big boy. Fucking mute Al. Everyone's like, oh my God, Al's not turned up. Fucking mute. The trade, the investment group, Twitter's going absolutely mental. It's just Al's like, you fucking knobhead. Can you imagine? Oh, he said he was going to be here. anyone going to be here? It's not. Mute. Oh, dear. I'm only kidding. Right. We look like we might have a little bit of breaking news coming in right now. Let's see what this looks like. This might not be good news, by the way. Right. Okay, maybe it's not the biggest thing in the world. Right. Treasury sanctions major Russian oil companies calls on Moscow to immediately agree to a ceasefire. Holy shit, they've gone big time on it. Today, the U.S. Department of Treasury Office of Foreign Asset Controls is imposing further sanctions as a result of Russia's lack of serious commitment to the peace process, the war in Ukraine. Today's actions, as a result of Russia's today's actions increase pressure on Russia's energy sector and degrade the Kremlin's ability to raise revenue for its war machine and support its weakened economy. This is the problem, though. You are going to push China that way. So China may go and just buy more Russian oil. That's the reality of it, isn't it? Treasury continues to use its authority to support the peace process. The debate is whether they can get everyone else to kind of get on board with it. I mean, I don't think we'll get a massive reaction on the markets. I don't think so, because sanctions are already in place, aren't there? So current sanctions are already in on Russia. I don't think they're the biggest things in the world, but hopefully people will buy now and sand will send. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, the debate would be, let me see if we can just get... let me see if we can just kind of get this up. Dead quick. I mean, that is true. So what you've got, I think, is a lot of BRICS nations. So yeah, so India. So from January to June, India imported about 1.75 million barrels per day. Russian oil accounts for 35 to 40% of India's total crude needs. So this is where Trump's going to have to try and leverage India. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. China makes up, Russian oil makes up 73% of China's imports of oil. Turkey, the EU overall reduced direct imports of Russia. We talked about this way ages ago. The fact we buy it from like a third party that is actually, yeah, so we buy it from Hungary and Slovakia, which basically buy it from freaking Russia, which is kind of crazy. Singapore, Saudi Arabia. I mean, they shouldn't need to get in there. So, interesting. Yeah, oh, there we go. Yeah, look, the market's there. Yeah, so the market has reacted. That news got out. Bitcoin just took an absolute whopping chopper dump right now. I mean, why would the markets react? I mean, obviously, it's just global geopolitical news, which markets don't particularly like, do they? But it is what it is, I guess. UK buys oil from Temu. Feels like it. Let's have a poll. Red or green October. Okay, let's do it. Oh, man. I did a Q&A. That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? What's your bet? Question mark. Red. Oops. Green. What's your bet for October? We'll run this. By the way, I'm going to be back streaming on TikTok in like 28 minutes. So we do need to kind of wrap this up a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. Why is everything looking so shit? Tariffs, manipulation. Man, look at this, by the way, TikTok. This is like a crazy amount. Like, what is this? I need to kind of address this pretty sharpish. It's like some massively weird thing on my inside of my head. People still think that it could go. I need to kind of do this and then just like, it's kind of wild. BTC needs a narrative to its weekly cycle low. Any narrative will do. I mean, the markets took a little bit of a hit on this. Don't forget, by the way, I am back live again with none other than Mr. Crypto Vern. If you are interested in joining us on the live stream, that could be bullish. That could be good news. It's just a way to manipulate the price. You're not wrong. You are not wrong, in my opinion. You're not wrong. So, anyway, we will see. We will see. Right, cast your votes in dead quick because I'm going to get out of here because we are... I need to sort this out. You can't really see it on YouTube, but I need to sort this out. And I'm going to be back live on TikTok with none other than Crypto Vern, who is literally here somewhere. Look, I don't know where he is. Somewhere down there. Although, bear with me 1 second, actually. Maybe we just kind of go live as it is. Might just stay live. Where is live stream? Here. It's on TikTok. Literally here. So yeah, we might just, I might literally just stay alive. I don't know. I'll just text my missus to see what she's doing. Might actually stay alive. I kind of feel I feel like I want to go and get a drink though. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel like I want to go and get a hot drink. But yeah, we'll be live on this stream. Right. Interesting. 53% of you guys. I mean, there's only 17 votes, so we're definitely on a 50-50. Yeah, 50-50 right now. Again, I guess we need to see kind of where the market's going on the back of this Russian news. I mean, is it going to really push kind of a narrative? I don't know if it's going to, I don't really know if it's going to do it or not. Do you think Putin's going to be like, oh God, you're sanctioning us oil from the US? Don't really care. I feel like that could be the narrative. He's just going to be like, yeah, I actually don't really give a flying. I think you said that. BTC, I said that name. BTC goes, yeah. Thanks, Alvin. Appreciate it, man. You're legend. More manipulation, and then boom. Let's hope so. I mean, I'm dialed in for all your thoughts, Vern. All your thoughts. Right, I am going to get off actually, dead quick. So I want to go make a hot drink, and then I'm going to be back here. Right, I'm going to be back on this platform on TikTok. So make sure you hit the follow button, and I'll be back live in literally like 25 minutes. All right. So as always, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow night talking all things cryptocurrency. Join the Discord. Get involved in that. Highly recommend. Worth it. Let's see what the market does right now. Obviously, it kind of feels like it might be a bit tasty. Look at the price of BTC right now on a definite decline. Maybe this is the boost, or maybe this is the straw that officially breaks the camel's back. Let's see. Right, I'm going to catch you guys in 25 minutes over on TikTok, here on YouTube. Guys, hit the follow button. You're not going to miss it. I'm going to be back very, very soon. As always, thanks so much, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.